Okay, it's Friday night with me, Geordie Pete Redding, on Hollywood Balls and Hollywood Balls Africa. Welcome along to the launch with my new co-host, Ali Khalid, sports journalist from around the globe. Great to have Ali on board. And again, our special guest this evening, Bakary Diakhaty. Now, I've got to get that right because he's told me there's a French pronunciation in there, which comes from his father's side. We'll do that. There's a big audience expected tonight. We're looking forward to it. So welcome to Hollywood Balls Africa. Yes, it's me, Geordie Pete Redding, back in the seat, and him, Ali Khalid, and of course our guest Bakary. Before we get started into AFCON and all of that, Ali, because there's games going on, there's games played. Just want to give a warm welcome to Bakary. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Hello to the listeners.
Great to have you on board. Now, before we get into AFCON, your career and everything else, just tell us a little bit. I was just intrigued to hear off air before we started. I was asking you what will you be doing over the weekend, and you're saying that you're working on something new. Just tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, I'm working actually on a new organization called Poacher Sports, and we are building a platform, sort of like LinkedIn or Facebook, but it is for in the amateur soccer field in Germany, and every German amateur soccer player or soccer club can register to the club or register on the site, and then get in touch with the amateur players and have a scouting, and amateur players can look for new clubs on our website, and it's also available on mobile devices as well. And we are growing fast, and we are still looking for people giving us money so we can grow even faster. And it's great fun, and I hope we can detect and find a lot of amateur soccer players who can actually show their whole potential. And the aim is also to roll it out first nationally in Germany, but also to roll it out I think in quite a while internationally, like in Europe or maybe around the world. So it's fun. It's called Poacher Sports, and just check it out and register.
Definitely, Ali. I want to say about that. You know, in our business of reporting on sport, and we come across a lot of players' talent, you know, that may not get the opportunity to get recognized. So something like this is it's pretty fantastic, isn't it?
It is fantastic. First of all, thanks for having me on the show, Pete. It's brilliant to be here.
Oh, a pleasure.
And nice to speak to you, Bakary, as well. I think this is a fantastic initiative because, you know, like, especially in this part of the world, I mean, we're in the Middle East, you know, there's always, issues about finding a pathway to becoming a footballer, to becoming a professional footballer. And, you know, it's a problem, you know, because in a lot of countries, only players of a certain nationality are allowed to play. I mean, we have that here in the Middle East sometimes. Only few foreigners are allowed and all that. So you get like these really talented kids at school, you know, but because they happen to come from a different part of the world and all that, they don't have a path into the clubs and all that. I mean, I'm sure obviously in Germany, it's far more... it's a far better structured system, but even there, I'm sure like certain players will have like certain privileges that the other young kids don't have. So this is an amazing, opportunity for them in a place like Germany as well. I think it's wonderful.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Okay, there is a tournament going on, let it not be said. And just so that you know, we are coming at you every Friday. And of course, AFCON's on. So what we'll do is we'll do our best to bring you what's happening around us. So if there's a goal going in, Ali Khalid's got it. No pressure.
I'm keeping my eye on. I'm keeping my eye on it. I watched Senegal. I watched Senegal.
Had a game,
earlier. It was 0-0. The first match of the day.
It was 0-0. Yeah.
0-0. Yeah. So we're keeping an eye on Morocco against Comoros and Malawi against Zimbabwe. So if any goals come, we'll let you know.
Before we get into your career, Bakary, I just want to get your first take on the tournament so far. I mean, Ali and I were chatting this morning ahead of the show tonight, and we said, although it's lacking in goals, the excitement's there of a major tournament, isn't it? You can feel it.
It is. It is quite a nice tournament. I followed very intensive the game of Tunisia against Mali, and what I recognized, it was unbelievably hot. I think it was about 35 degrees or so, and it's just unbelievable to play under these circumstances and do give like an give like a performance which you normally also give at your club. So it's not easy for the players as well. And it's also tough to play in Africa. I mean, it's different. I mean, it depends on country to country. I mean, I live in South Africa right now. It's just Africa is so huge and it's so big. We have so much different climate and stuff. So it's so much things to adapt to. And I think it's 56 countries in Africa,
and coming out of their leagues as well, Bakary, you know,
exactly.
they're playing club football
difficult to
and
play.
then they step up to international.
Exactly,
Wow.
exactly. So they're coming from great clubs like in Europe, and then you have to adapt to a different situation. It's not easy for the players. So I think they're doing quite good, especially for Mali. I mean, they won, which was great and which is great. But of course, they could. It was not their best performance, but I think it was for the first game. It was not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, I just
Ali,
wanted to
go on.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make a follow-up points on what Bakary is saying. Is that it is tough. I mean, you know, there's been a lot of talk about that the competition hasn't caught fire yet. You know, it's been you know, of the 15 matches, 10 of them have been 1-0. 3 of them have been 0-0, and only Cameroon have scored more than 1 goal in a match. Twice they've done that. Vincent Abubakar has scored 4 goals already, so he's been great, you know. But
great,
you know, but you know, like he made a really good point. I mean, if you watch, the pitches are a bit dry, you know, so that doesn't help sometimes the football. And also, Pete, I mean, and this is a cautionary tale for the World Cup. The players have only had like about 5 days with their national teams. You know, when you consider travel and certain quarantines and all that, you know, they've had about a week, you know, maybe like 5-6 days of training. That's not enough preparation to adapt. So a lot of coaches are like, you know, in the first match, they're really like getting the first time that they're seeing their preferred 11 play together, you know. I mean, that's nowhere near enough preparation. Of course, the quality is going to drop a little bit, and this is going to be, I mean, you know, I hope people are watching this, because this is going to affect the World Cup when, you know, it's going to be a similar period of time. They expect players to leave their clubs and within 1 week to be playing at the highest stage and performing. There's going to be a knock-on effect, and teams are going to struggle.
I've got to ask you, Bakary, have you ever played for your country where you just play for 85 minutes and then a referee blows up? Had enough?
Well, I did have some training sessions like this where we ended up early, but like an official FIFA game or Bundesliga game, not at all. I mean, this is just
it was a bizarre chain of
dramatic,
events. It was a bizarre chain of events. Ali, I think you quite nailed it nicely. The guys were all getting ready for their post-match interviews, blah, blah. Come on, boys, you've got another 5 minutes. What, in your opinion, what went on?
I'm not sure. I mean, they you know, I've actually thought about it, because I've tried to hear like some of the reasons that were given, or the excuses that the referee didn't stop his watch and all that, but it doesn't make sense, because, you know, you've got like at least 90. You know, I would understand not stopping your watch if it's beyond the 90, but how do you stop before the 90? You know, so it doesn't make sense. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened there. You know, look, I mean, you know, like you know, Mali won, and probably they would have won anyway, you know. But you know, that's not how it works. You know, you do need to like, you know, I can understand the anger from Tunisia's side and all that, and it's a shame, because you know there are people out there sometimes who are very critical of tournaments and will look for anything and say, you know, that's low quality and all that. And I think, you know, the people the organizers, African football in general, you know, doesn't deserve, you know, an incident like that to overshadow other things, you know. So, and you know, there are people who will use that to overshadow and say, you know, like it's badly organized and all that. It's a one-off, and let's hope there's not any more of that. You know,
here, not on this show, especially when we've got a guest who's played for Mali. Listen, I wanted to say a big shout out to Paul. Good afternoon, Paul, from Timbuktu. He's watching. Literally spoke to Paul the other day. Follows the AFCON. Great guy. Big Sunderland fan, but we can't have everything, can we? Paul, great to see you along this evening. Okay, Bakary, I want to take it back way back to where it all began, because it's always fascinating for our viewers to find out the journey. So, how did you get into football at a young age? How young were you?
Actually, I was about, I think, 6 years or so. So quite 35 years ago when I got interested into soccer. And I think my father, when I talked about my early days, I asked him why was I interested in soccer? And he said, like, I mean, they kind of pushed me into soccer, my parents, especially my father, to take me, like, to hold me off the streets, because I'm I was born and raised in Frankfurt in Germany, and it was quite tough. And or there were quite tough times, and we didn't live in the best neighborhood. So I found like a passion, and it was soccer. And I started in a small club in Frankfurt, and after a year or two, I changed to the biggest club, the Eintracht Frankfurt, and I played there from I think from 7 until I was 16 years old. So
Wow.
good, yeah, like 9 years or so, and the whole youth leagues I did it there, and then I changed to Bochum, which was also I think it was second or first division club in Germany, because they offered me a contract, and I got to have training with the professional and with the first team, and it was kind of interesting for me. And I did finish my A levels there as well, and then I got an offer from a Dutch first division club named Doetinchem in the Netherlands, where I signed my first professional soccer contract, and I played there for about 2 years, and it worked out quite well for me. It was great for me. Yeah, it was quite nice for me, because the Netherlands at this time, they had a very good reputation of developing young soccer players, and I had great coaches, great players with me. We played in a quite good competition, and we never relegated, so we never went to the second division. I was playing in the first division in it's called actually Eredivisie, first division, the second division there. So Eredivisie, it was nice. It was a small club. And from there, I went to my old club, Eintracht Frankfurt, where I used to play in the youth, and I was playing the second division there. And in the last game, which was quite interesting now, is where I came in the last, I think, like 20 minutes or so, and I almost already signed a new contract with my new club in the first division in France, in OGC Nice. And my former coach brought me in the last 15 minutes, and I think it was 3-3, and I scored 2 times, and then it was 5-3, and another guy scored the 6-3, and because of my 2 goals and the goals of Alexander Schur, we went to the first division, the Erste Bundesliga again. And the nice part about it is that Jurgen Klopp used to be coach of Mainz 05, and he didn't go to the first division. So I thought, like, it was maybe 4 or 5 years later when I went to his club, he just wanted to sign me just to kick my ass. But it wasn't that at all. He was quite sportive about it. I mean, I had some talks about it with him, and he said, Bakker, actually, it was the best thing that could happen to Mainz 05. We had another year in the second division, so we could like develop all our skills. We could develop our surroundings at the club to make us ready for the first Bundesliga. And I mean, they did quite well. Mainz is the first division club, and he had an amazing career. So it was, I mean, it's like a fun part. Yeah?
Bakary, I'm really, really fascinated by your career, because the timing of your career, you said you played in Holland and in Germany. You know, at the time, I mean, Holland, as you already mentioned, you know, it's renowned for producing really, really gifted kids, you know, very technical, you know, the coaching system there is amazing. But Germany was going through a rebirth as well. The time that you would have been there and playing, you know, for Bochum and then for, for Klopp, it was having like sort of a rejuvenation of like, with Klopp, with coaches like Klopp and others, you know. So you got like the best of both worlds, like Germany and Holland. Probably the 2 most technical countries in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I remember my training sessions in the Netherlands. It was amazing. We did like this small technical stuff and this small tactical stuff as well. So it's not all about technique, also the technique, like the tactical stuff, and also technique, and also like the tactics around it. It's like it was amazing just to understand why this one has to run this way and open up, and it was just amazing. And it was for me the best time to go at a young age and to start my professional soccer career.
That's brilliant.
Brilliant stuff. Absolutely amazing. Got to say hi to Rob Alexander. Rob's in the house. Rob, it's been a while, but great to have you along, and stay up to date with you. Give my best to the family. Great to have you in the house as well. Ali, you must have a ton of questions, because when I said to you that our guest featured strongly in the life and times of Jurgen Klopp, your eyes lit up, obviously, because not just as a Liverpool fan, but as a football connoisseur, Klopp's someone that you followed pretty detailed, isn't it?
I do. I mean, we obviously, when he was at Mainz, he did such a good job at Dortmund. I mean, what he did at Dortmund was amazing, and we all kind of fell in love with that Dortmund team of from about like 10, 11 years ago, which was, which had Robert Lewandowski and a few other players, Royce and Götze and all that. The team that got to the Champions League final and lost to Bayern Munich. So it's like my interest in Klopp and my admiration goes before Liverpool. Obviously
Sure.
as a Liverpool fan, it was fantastic when he joined. But it's someone like I admired, and I think beyond just like my admiration for him, it's the German football at the time was going through a period, like with Klopp, and obviously Pep went there as well with Bayern Munich, and really affected the team that won the World Cup in 2014. Like a lot of Bayern players were there, and Bayern like almost played you could see the effect of that Pep Guardiola. He's only been there one season, but so he's like really interested in the coaching aspect of it. That's why I mentioned. I asked Bakary about his experiences, because it was a fascinating time, and like a sort of golden time for German coaching, which ultimately they won the World Cup. What better result can there be?
Amazing. I've got to say, from club football to international football, Bakary, what obviously great pride, but what's it like as a player to pull on the shirt of your country?
So I think it's a different story than playing for your club. I mean, for your club, maybe I exaggerate when I say it's a job. I mean, you go there, you sign your contract, and you play for your club. They pay you the money because it's your job. But playing for your country is something different. I mean, you feel the pride. You feel like when you hear the national anthem starting, you'll be like, "Woof! This is like." Wow, it's like adrenaline coming to your rushes to your body. You feel really, really excited. And I have to say, I mean, I have two worlds in me. I mean, I was born and raised in Germany. I have a huge family in Mali, where I used to play for the national team. So I have two hearts in my body as well. But playing for Mali was a huge experience for me, and I met so many great players who played for Real Madrid or Barcelona. They were just, and I could just learn a lot from them. And they were just so down to earth. And they were also playing with 2 feet. I mean, you watch them in Champions League, you were like, wow, Salif Keita or Mamadou Diarra. You were like, wow, they're the huge players. And next week you're sitting with them on the table eating lunch together. And they were just normal people like you and me. And it was like great stuff for me. I mean, you feel proud, but you could also take a lot out of it. And it was the great time of my career.
I think what's different, Ali, for you and I as fans is, could you imagine? I mean, never get near being able to play at that level, but it doesn't matter who you are, but or where you're playing. But you would, if you line up alongside or indeed against it, there is going to be a moment, isn't there, where you're like, wow, that's Ronaldo, or that's and I'm playing in the same game against them.
Yeah. I mean, like sometimes, I mean, obviously, neither one of us have been anywhere near the levels that Bakary is at, and and I think he's being modest because we can look at him and say the same thing, like
Sure.
the amazing career that you had, but sometimes, Pete, when and I know you've done it, and I go and I cover like training sessions sometimes, or I go to matches, or even sometimes if you go just to a live match, it really hits you the level of like these guys are at, professional football. I mean, like sometimes even on television it doesn't come across, but you go to training and you see their physique and you see their fitness and how much they run. And if you're watching a game, sometimes you get a bigger picture of like what's happening and all that. And you can't, honestly, I think fans sometimes just sit there and criticize players on social media and all that, which has become more and more prevalent these days. Just forget the levels that these guys play at, and it's relevant with the African Nations Cup, because a lot of people are saying the results haven't been great, not enough goals and all that. But again, like we said earlier, these guys have hardly been given any preparation, and like these guys are proper professionals, and at least they're going out there and thinking, what, I'm not going to lose, so I mean, maybe they're they've been more focused on being cautious than like all out attacking. And hopefully this is a tournament that will develop. By the way, Morocco took the lead against Comoros, just so you know. It's 1-0.
Okay, so Morocco are one up. I've got to say a few hellos. There's a lot of you are in. Good evening to Fola from Nigeria. She's watching. Always a loyal watcher of the show. Paul's got a question for you, Bakary. So I think he's testing me as well as you. So you'll have to forgive my pronunciation. Did you play in Stade du 26 Mars? He says he passes it every time in Bamako.
In
In
Bamako, yeah, the
Did you
capital. Of
play?
course, we played there. Yeah, of course, I played there. We had games for the 2010 World Cup qualification matches we played there. I think we played against Ghana. I think we lost, if I'm not mistaken, but I played there. I had a lot of trainings there. It's nice, and this is like actually, if you enter the Stade du 26 Mars, it's like a huge. It's a huge, but very old school, not comparable with the new stadiums in Europe. It's like an old brick stadium where you can like. It's amazing. I just remember also it was hot. I mean, even when we had when we played at, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, it was still above 30 degrees, and it's just unbelievably hot. And yeah, but I played there.
Good atmosphere, though.
Yes, amazing. Yeah.
Was it a good atmosphere?
It was. Yeah, Malian supporters. I mean, they go for it.
Amazing.
Now you say that you were obviously you come from a large family and it could have been anyone that you do. Did your family were they involved in your decision of who you were going to play for internationally? How did that come about?
No, it was more or less let me say maybe a coincidence. When I joined OGC Nice in the first league in France, we had a couple of international players from Mali, and they introduced me to the Malian Federation, and they invited me to join a training and to come to play friendly games and come to Mali, have some like get in touch with the Federation of Mali, and I kind of liked it, and yeah, and that's why I decided to play also for Mali, because I think like we football players who are living not in the country of where we actually play internationally, I think it's also important to show our sources and our roots, because I'm also proud having a part of Mali inside me. So it comes. I'm proud being African. So it's not only the German part that makes me say yes, here I am. It's also the African part in me that says here I am. I want to show that Africa is in me, and it shows and it gives me strength. And so I was very proud when I took the decision to play for Mali, and I think retrospective, it was the right decision, and I could only recommend to younger players if they have the chance to play for an African country, do it, because it is something different.
It's fantastic. Ali, before I come to you, you've got to say a quick hi to Naki, a long-standing supporter of Hollywood Bulls. Great to see that you're watching. She's got a question for you. She said, you've had an amazing career, Bakary. Have you got a biography in the plan? Are you going to write a book? I think he's busy enough.
Yeah, I'm busy, but why not? I mean, it's nice, but I have to find a ghostwriter who writes it for me. But
we've got one just down here. There's a one just down here for you.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm after your career, I mean, you look back and you see like it could have been better, but it could have been worse as well. I mean, I was playing in the first division in Germany, in Bundesliga. I played second Bundesliga. I even played third Bundesliga in Germany, and I mean, it could have been better, but it could have been worse as well. I mean, I'm happy with my career, and I'm happy to share my experience with younger players to help and support them, because there's a lot of talent in the world and a lot of unseen talent, even in Germany and especially in Africa, even here in South Africa and Johannesburg. So I kind of like it to help and give my know-how back to the youth and back to young soccer players.
Ali is a man who follows football globally. and a lot of your columns, and when we first started, just before we came on air, Bakary spotted straight away the picture behind you from an interview that you did yourself with Mo Salah. I mean, how does the Bundesliga rate in your sort of, you've got your eye on global football. You love that, you love the action from over there, don't you?
I'm a big fan, and I think just to touch on what Bakary said earlier in the show, probably technically and tactically, if you put the two together, Bundesliga is probably the best league in the world. In terms of overall, you would say, I mean, the Premier League is the most hyped league in the world, and it's exciting. Don't get me wrong, exciting, and as a Liverpool fan, I love watching it and all that. But the quality in Germany is higher, and I think the quality in Germany is also higher than Spain, which has a very high technical level. But I think Germany has got like the perfect mix of fast football. They play the pressing game. They play the the dynamic football, which is a little bit quicker than Spain. Maybe not as intense and mayhem that you get in the Premier League, but it's the most controlled and it's the most technical one, and some incredible players there. And I think sometimes we live in a world where, especially in our part of the world, a lot of people are interested in English football. And although I'm a big fan of the Premier League, it becomes very Premier League centric, and you sort of look down on other leagues. And other leagues, all leagues go through ups and downs. The Italian league, when I was growing up, if someone told me that Milan and Inter Milan would be struggling, I wouldn't have believed them. I would have been like, I was like, these two teams are going to be the best teams till the end of my life.
Forever.
And it goes up and down. Barcelona are struggling. It goes up and down. But I do think the German league is I don't think it's underrated because people know how good it is. But I think sometimes
it doesn't sometimes get the credit that it deserves, Ali.
It's amazing. It's got fantastic fan culture as well, and even the second division, the second Bundesliga, they've got really great fan culture, and I think behind the scenes the clubs are run properly. Not all of them, but they're run better than they are in England. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the German league, and keep an eye on all the leagues as well, and
27 tellies in your house.
Yeah, computer and the phone, but I wanted to make a couple of points before we go, about the Africa Cup of Nations as well, because we're just following the games today and all that, and just wanted to make the point again about how we're hoping that with the second round of matches things will pick up. So far from what I've seen, Peter, the best team that I've seen so far, there's been a lot of 1-0s. Some of them have been very cautious and all that. But Nigeria's 1-0 win over Egypt was brilliant. I thought Nigeria were fantastic. Really, really strong. Inacho was scored a brilliant goal. The two Leicester players, Inacho and Ndidi, were played really well. I think Simon Moses played fantastic on the sorry. Simon played really well on the left. It really troubled the Egyptian defense. He was getting the ball, going past players and all that. And every time Egypt just kept giving the ball away. They were doing nothing more than basically doing what Argentina.
They bullied them, didn't they?
They really bullied them. I thought they were doing what Argentina does: give it to the number 10 and let's hope for the best. That's what Egypt were doing, and Nigeria were just so structured and so well. They pressed when they had to. They pushed back a little bit when they needed to. And like I said, on the wings, really troubled the defense. So although it was only 1-0, Nigeria I thought Nigeria were fantastic, really, really good to watch. And I could think they could go really long. And I'm hoping more of games like that. And I'm hoping these big teams and all the teams will pick up. So hopefully, I wouldn't be too downhearted about the first round of matches, which was not really high scoring. I think we're going to have a much, much better tournament going forward.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it as it grows. Before I come to Bakary, because I've got a question about English football for him as well, I did have to say a big thank you and welcome to our new partners, by the way. Ali, I know I've sent you the link and you've been trawling through the website. Great to have them on board. It's badassmonkeys.com. Go and have a look at the stuff because it really is first class. Great T-shirts, great caps, stuff on the way to Hollywood Balls Towers, I believe. So we're looking forward to working with these guys. Badassmonkeys.com. Give them a check out. And in the coming weeks on the show, we'll have discounts, prizes, and giveaways. But looking forward to working with them. Good stuff. There's one more question as well. It's just come in. And it's from Italy. And he says, Bakary, how do we get the opportunity to talk? Do you have opportunities for upcoming footballers from Africa and that's based in Italy. So is there a website that people can go and look at and at least sort of see the information, even if it's not in their country so far?
I mean, they can. Football is bigger than me. I mean, I can change. I cannot make one player go or promise them to go to be professional. But they, I mean, I can maybe get in contact with him and talk to him and see what I can do. Maybe there is something I can do. But
inundated with footballers. I'll be sending my CV off. I'm a right midfielder. I've got a good touch. I haven't got the pace anymore, but I've got the vision.
Oh, but you got the eye. That's more important than the pace. You have young players given the pace.
Yeah.
Listen, I wanted to ask you. We've talked about the German league and Dutch as well. Did the opportunity, or has the chance ever arisen to play in the English leagues at all?
Not at all. Unfortunately, not.
No.
I would have loved to play in England. I mean, I just love being close to the supporters and hearing like when they insult you or when they like cheer you up. I never cared. And I was always like, it makes me even more want to win.
Determined.
But it makes me more exactly. But I always like the atmosphere in the stadium, but I never had the opportunity to play there, unfortunately.
And he played any in friendlies or pre-season against? No.
Okay. No. Oh, we played once. We played, I think, with Mainz. We played against Liverpool once in a pre-season game, but we played at home in Mainz.
Okay.
And I was playing against my good friend Mamadou Sissoko.
Yeah.
Who was playing for Liverpool at that time. And I remember we had a very nice shirt in Mainz. We only made this shirt for this one game. It was a black shirt. It looked amazing. Wow. And we never wore this again. But I think it was my only game against an English team. It was Liverpool.
Ali, can you remember that one? What was the score?
No, isn't that? I know there was one. I think there was one where Liverpool lost 5-0. I can't remember if this was the one. You know, I might be missing my matches.
Remember.
I don't maybe it's a different match. I know there was one game in Germany where they went and they got like tonked 5-0. I'm not sure it's this one, but I'm glad you mentioned your friend Sissoko. You know, what a player he was. You know,
he was amazing as well.
What an incredible player! Really had I thought he was having an amazing career ahead of him, and he had the eye injury. Do you remember? He injured his eye, and you know that kind of like, you know, affected obviously his career. And then he left Liverpool, and I mean I know he went back and you know like went back to Spain I think and played well, but what a player he was! Absolutely amazing.
Brilliant stuff. It's been an absolute pleasure. It goes so quickly. We're over the half an hour mark, and I'm aware of that. Listen, guys, it's been absolutely fantastic. It's great to see so many familiar names for our first episode of Hollywood Balls Africa, our dedicated show to everything African, and making our debut alongside a real international hero. So, Bakary, we thank you for your time and joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Ali, any scores to update on before we
right
leave?
That's one last time we'll look.
Hit that refresh.
It's still Morocco 1, Comoros 0, and it's still Malawi 0, Zimbabwe 0.
Okay, listen, guys, you can catch us every Friday on Hollywood Balls Africa. I'm back tomorrow on Geordie Pete's Soccer Saturday with Kevin Campbell. We'll be back tomorrow from 11 a.m. in the UK, so 3 p.m. in the UAE. Make sure you join us tomorrow as well. From me, Geordie Pete Redding, Hollywood Balls Africa, saying have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time.